Hello, and welcome to Armchair Devs, Kiwami. In an ordinary episode of Armchair Devs, we get 3 contestants, and they recite their meticulously prepared pitches. The difference is, they have no idea what they're going to be asked to create. That's Armchair Devs Kiwami, because Kiwami means extreme. Welcome to Armchair Devs Kiwami. I am your host, Chris Wolfhart, and with me are our contestants, Dan Video Games.
I have a business degree and a complete lack of desire for friendship.
Bob Video Games.
I'm completely unprepared.
And Dr. Aggro.
Everything I say in a Kiwami is legally self-defense.
Now, if you've never watched or listened to an episode of Armchair Devs Kiwami, it's very simple. I will give our contestants the assignment and give them a small research and development period in order for them to craft something to fulfill the assignment. And then I will question them rigidly to draw out every little bit of crack and flaw in their assignment. And also they have to draw something on a strict timer. Please look forward to it. In the modern industry, there's been lots of trends, battle royales, Genshin likes, MOBAs, MMOs, NFTs, licensed games, giga franchises, generative AI. We've tried them all, and they've all failed. Today's assignment is... Please, Armchair Devs, save Ubisoft!
This is like a game or a business plan.
Isn't there a speeding train I could stop with my body?
Go with the heart. If you think a game can save Ubisoft, sure. If you think some shrewd business plan that's only tangentially related to game development can save Ubisoft, okay. If your plan is to pay Disney until Ezio is on the Avengers, we've tried everything. We don't have many options left. We have to go outside for some fresh insight. With your assignment, you will have a development period of 5 minutes starting now. $30 seconds remaining.
Oh. You know what? I'm feeling confident.
Yeah?
Yes.
At least that's one of us.
And pencils down.
Okay.
Now that with our definitely enough and not panic-inducing development period,
Yeah.
our contestants have prepared their elevator pitches. Each will have 30 seconds to describe to me their game, give me the general thrust of it, and of course the name. And we will start with Dan. 30 seconds as soon as you start talking.
Before we start, I want to say this was actually really simple because I'm not giving you a pitch. I'm revealing the truth of what's needed. We've tried everything except for the most obvious attempts at pandering to nostalgia-loving boomers. It's time to give up with Far Cry Expendables. Tackle this open-world first-person shooter as any of countless 80s action movie icons who deliver their iconic catchphrases as they take down the stereotypically evil dictator. Get ready to blow things up and feel cool in Far Cry Expendables. The soundtrack's AC/DC.
Good to know, and time. Well, that was shockingly painless. But I just don't feel alive if I'm not gripped with fear. So with that in mind, Dr. Aggro, your pitch whenever you begin talking.
The normal expected cycle of video game development has failed us. We need to go in a bold new direction and create a revolution in this industry. You've seen the films. You've eaten the McDonald's tie-in meals. Now prepare to enter the world of Avatar like never before in Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Pandora, a full-dive VR MMO experience engine from Ubisoft. Experience full sensory feedback with our patented haptic cradle technology codenamed BlueSock. Transcend the bounds of your mortal form and embark on an adventure more immersive than even reality.
You're out of time. I got stun locked by your description, but I think I understand the broad strokes.
Is the slogan something like "It's gonna blue sock you dry"? Hey Bob, can you come in between these two massively different ends of the spectrum?
Well, can you, Bob? 30 seconds as soon as you start talking.
The problems of Ubisoft are too big to solve with simply one game. We must sell all IP. Except for Beyond Good and Evil. Now every game is Beyond Good and Evil too. Every game. Beyond Good and Evil Rainbow Six. Beyond Good and Evil Far Cry. Beyond Good and Prince Evil.
And time. Okay, I have some good ideas of what's going on here with that. Oh boy, where to start with this one?
Do you want stale bread? Some weird porn game? Or the guy with Tourette's for Beyond Good and Evil?
I guess I'll just rip off the Band-Aid. Dr. Aggro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Pandora, you have mentioned that this VR full immersion MMO will be driven by a powerful new gaming accessory.
Mm-hmm.
Please elaborate on the full sensory body sock.
So we have conceptualized a new haptic cradle technology. As I've said, codename BlueSock. It is a rayon and neoprene mixture that will formlessly and gently vacuum seal to the player's body, getting the feedback motors directly up against their skin. We have written up several pitches to James Cameron to have him come on and develop this technology himself, because we really wanted to make sure that right down to the physical experience of walking through the alien flora of Pandora, that we stayed true to a real auteur's vision.
Okay. That all sounds very good if you read between the lines.
I am so excited to ask aggro questions.
Dan, will Far Cry the Expendables lean heavily on legacy, the actual actors that originally portrayed these characters you will be using, or will you get sound-alikes, or have some other horrible option, perhaps?
We are going to get the actors. They're not going to look that great, though. Here's the benefit. It's first person. You're not really going to see your face a whole lot. We're going to show a lot of gameplay. We're going to rely on a lot of sound bites. You're not going to worry about it. There's a dedicated sound bite button, so the player just gets to know who they're playing as in that moment, in case they forgot, because their brain is turning to mush. It's a Far Cry game, and it looks a lot like every other Far Cry game, but this is it's got that little bit of an infusion of a Just Cause thing. They're just blowing shit up, feeling cool, and they're hitting L1 or LB, and they're saying something like, "Hasta la vista." And we only get one take of each line, so you're really just hearing the same things.
Are they just cut from the movies, or do we actually have new lines?
Well, it depends on whether or not the actor is living or dead.
I'm really excited to hear to play as Rambo and press the button and just have him scream, "I can't even get a job washing cars!"
It's going to be really good when, much like the movies, Terry Crews is in this too. So he's just going to go, Old Spice!
Bob.
What's up?
Please describe to me how far beyond good and evil the Prince of Beyond Good and Evil is fundamentally different from a normal Prince of Persia game. Is it set in the space setting of Beyond Good and Evil? Are you playing as the photographer girl doing Prince of Persia shit? Help me out.
Well, you see, you play as the space monkey in space, but it's clearly a Prince of Persia level that's been reskinned. It actually is just literally Twin Thrones reskinned.
So depressing.
Like literally reskinned?
Yes.
So
But I mean, we got the Monkey Man in there.
This. I see. It's very clever to sell all your IP and then cheat on that as possibly to an extent that's illegal.
Possibly, but not knowable until we do it.
You mean you think it might be illegal? You don't actually know it's illegal.
Yet.
The geometry's the same, but the textures are different.
Right?
What's that saying? Like, it's never illegal for the first person who does it?
What if the first person does it 12 times?
In one
As long as they're
year?
packed close enough, as long as they're close enough together.
Holy shit.
It's now time for the second round of questions. I must sadly once again go to Dr. Aggro.
Welcome back.
It's time to get right to brass tacks and possibly get this video demonetized. Dr. Aggro, how many things in this game can you stick your in?
I mean, that's going to depend on how you design your in-game avatar and whether those things have appropriately sized holes.
Can't ask for a better answer than that.
I mean, like I said, we are trying to create the world's greatest experience engine, leveraging the beautiful cinema art of James Cameron. We're going to have James Cameron working on this project, and it's going to be a leap forward in both technology and artistic expression. James Cameron.
Bob, am I having a stroke? I feel like I just heard the word James Cameron 17 times.
No, that can't be right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're hallucinating. Time for your question, Dan.
Oh no.
Describe. You have this powerful cast of heroes, legendary heroes that your dad likes.
Yes.
or if you're a certain category of millennials you like, and now have to realize that you are now in the same role in society as your father was 20 years ago. What antagonistic force can stand against all these heroes? Who is the villain of Far Cry Expendables?
I feel like there's only one person who could really be enough of a villain and fill this stereotypical dictator role. You know, he needs to be chomping down a cigar, derogatory, because when the good guys do it, it's cool, right? Schwarzenegger, he's got a cool cigar, but this guy, it's a Cuban cigar, and it's somehow shitty when he does it. We can all tell. Not a race thing, we promise. Anyway, so Danny Trejo is like the only person badass enough and just acting up being shitty enough in order to be the evil dictator in this situation. So we have to go with that, because we would go with the twiddly nerd type, you know, maybe get that guy who played Lex Luthor in the new DC stuff to be the villain, but
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, that was the actor. But it just, people wouldn't be able to believe he's behind it all. That's just not possible. He's simply not cool enough. It would be like, you know, the power level of our cool 80s action hero guys should be high enough where getting close to Mark Zuckerberg should disintegrate him. So that's why we need Danny Trejo. And we know Danny Trejo's down for this because he was in Like a Dragon 8.
It's true.
I was confused for a moment because, like, he wasn't expendable. Then I remembered, no, he was just in Broforce.
Yeah,
It's the same thing in my head.
No, this is definitely just Far Cry Broforce. Thank you for asking. That counts as his question later, right?
No, sadly.
Damn.
Now, Bob.
Uh-huh.
What is the release schedule for these all IP now Beyond Good and Evil? Like, are we getting 2 or 3 a year? Like, are you loading this shotgun before you ever pull the trigger and it's like 6 or 7? Like, are you gonna cram as many of these down the populace's throat before the law catches up? Like, what's the scheme here?
We're going to try to get out at least 2 a year. And this is all building up, of course, to the release of Beyond Good and Evil 2, which will be the biggest video game ever made. We have to release in multiple parts.
Do you think people might be confused when they saw so many other games come out and they titled Beyond Good and Evil, but this one just has a 2 on it?
Of course not. They know. Everyone knows.
Okay.
Good opportunity to rebrand that game as Beyond Good and Evil 2 TOO.
Ooh.
It is becoming like almost a multiverse, I guess.
This is rancid.
And now it's time for the drawing prompt. Our contestants will have 5 minutes once I deliver the prompt to craft an image to represent, representation of the prompt. This episode's prompt is draw the full screen advertisement that will pop up when you boot any Ubisoft game ever made. Every single Ubisoft game will be updated to show a full screen ad for your game.
Or 17 games.
Yes, and also it will happen just by default on Xbox. They will pay Microsoft to do that. You have 5 minutes. And time.
Jesus.
Well, no time to waste. That might give someone a cheating amount of time to continue drawing after the teacher said pencils down. So we have to go directly into this. Once again, much like ripping off a Band-Aid. Dr. Aggro, please showcase your artwork.
I'd like to start by saying that I feel it's unfair that I was not given an opportunity to cheat. So as I've said, this is going to be a revolutionary new experience that we are going to completely shift the entire industry forward with. And we really wanted to communicate that both to the audience and to any potential investors that might be able to pull our ass out of the fire. So our marketing is going to focus largely on the fact that James Cameron is going to be principally involved with this project.
Wow.
It's very important messaging wise that we center this feature of our new project.
You don't say.
I respect the commitment to keeping the Tom Clancy brand pure and untainted by it being Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Pandora by James Cameron. James Cameron is involved. James Cameron.
See, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Once you get the hang of it, it is a shockingly easy to understand concept. James Cameron. Bob Video Games, please show us your advertisement for all IPs now Beyond Good and Evil.
All right, I ran out of time, but imagine there are 12 more of her.
Okay.
Okay.
It just filled the entire screen, like the Ubisoft game boots up.
Like she's tiled.
Yes, she's tiled all across it. It's all you see.
Wow. That's incredible. How do you do it?
Then you can bring a cursor across it, and each one will have a different name under it to tell you which game it's.
It's like a Destiny menu cursor.
Yes.
If you linger on it too long, does it automatically purchase that game?
If you linger on it too long, it starts playing the video, and the video finishes. It's in your cart, but we can't legally purchase it yet.
A shame that the woke FTC won't let these giant companies force you to buy things you obviously already want. Otherwise, why would you have let the cursor linger there so long? Dan Video Games, please show me your work for the Far Cry The Expendables.
So, I think this is going to move a lot of copies. I feel like I don't even need to explain this, but I will. So that is, as you can see, Bruce Willis on the left holding a gun. Very cool. Arnold Schwarzenegger on the right aiming a rocket launcher into the background. Okay. And Danny Trejo is big, really big, and he like fades off as a silhouette towards the bottom, and the bottom of which this is really subtle, so I'm going to give you the zoom in shot real quick. There are scared women, and you are saving them.
Oh my
because
God.
you're a cool 80s guy.
Are the women far away or in fact very small?
Are you saving nothing but like fairy women?
I don't think this box art needs to answer that.
Also, how big is Danny Trejo in your game?
Oh, he's wait, like when you actually come up against him, or like how we're gonna frame him until that moment.
I like when you actually meet him.
He's Danny Trejo sized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. You got to wait to ask him questions until this next segment.
These women are very scared, and when the player sees this, they go, "Oh my God, those women are scared. I need to save these women as these cool '80s guys."
There's so many follow-up questions.
Well, lucky for Aggro, the next stage of an Armchair Devs Kiwami, and all Armchair Devs actually, is for the contestants to ask one another questions. You know, they've had to only describe their own game, and now's a great chance for them to ask the burning questions that they have for the other contestants. And they may desperately scramble because up until this point they hadn't actually listened all that much to the other people's ideas, and now have to desperately recall to ask some form of question. Bob, Video Games, you may begin.
Lucky.
I'm also just going to start with Aggro.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
I just need to know your sock. Does it cover your entire body, or is it more like one specific point?
I mean, it goes all the way from your toes up to over your chin, at which point the headset takes over. We do also have a like a skull cap arrangement that plugs into the main unit, but you're gonna have to get different ones depending on the headset you're using.
Great. So this is releasing on everything. I'm glad to hear it.
Absolutely. We don't want to exclude any potential gamers from the future of gaming.
Great. Dan,
Hey.
is it really okay to put Bruce Willis in here?
Yeah.
Okay. Like the estate is going to approve that?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. No, we're good. I asked him.
Great.
We went out to lunch. I asked him, and he said it was fine. That's a legally binding thing, I think.
I don't think that's right, but that's all I got.
Yeah. Admittedly, probably should have had any witnesses.
Yeah, how'd you even set up this launch? That was really short notice.
I actually just ran into him, if you must know. And I was like, hey, cool, you want to eat? And he's like, sure. That was it. I like to keep my business deals simple.
Well, that out of the way, Dan, you're up next.
Aggro, VR online multiplayer experience, right?
Experience engine. This is a platform that will drive experience.
And so your blue sock gives sensory feedback to the things you can do in this space.
That is the plan.
What do you think you have that VR chat users have not already invented and implemented heavily in absolutely deranged spaces?
We have the singular genius vision of adventurer, scientist, and auteur creative James Cameron. How many VR chat worlds have you gone into that were lovingly handcrafted by the master himself?
1 second. I might be able to get lunch with him. Bob.
Yeah, what's up?
How many games did you say you're shipping?
At least 12 games over the next 6 years.
Okay. How many of these are you swapping the main character out for the monkey?
Only that one, weirdly.
Oh.
Yeah. We know that the monkey is not well liked, but we need to introduce him slowly. We figure the Prince of Persia evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the place to do it.
So you just want to upset Prince of Persia fans more.
Yes.
Because they're the only ones that got the monkey.
Well, I mean, we're doing other Prince of Persia Beyond Good and Evil games. This thing's only one. Come on.
Oh, that's
we got all the other games to reskin.
Sorry, that was foolish of me. Man, there really are going to be a bunch of that lady on the ad. Huh?
Yes.
Jesus. No follow-up questions.
And finally, but certainly not least, Dr. Aggro.
So, Dan, video games. We're talking about an Expendables game that's going to save the company. That kind of scale, that kind of scope.
Oh yeah.
You also have an enormous cast of aging American actors.
Yes.
So I'm wondering what your plan is when, statistically speaking, inevitably, by the time the game is anywhere near ready to launch, one of them has been depersoned for doing something incredibly horrible in a public space.
Well, first off, we're announcing the cast very close to launch to prevent any large problems with this. But if it's a tragic thing instead of a canceling thing, we will just continue through with it because it is really important to our gacha game that you properly get incentivized to roll for these characters. And we feel if there's a tragic moment, then maybe that could work in our favor.
Oh, I see. Taking the Suicide Squad approach.
Okay, that was a lot of evil I didn't ask about. So what happens when one of them gets canceled?
Post-launch or at launch? Because you made it sound like before launch, right?
Yeah, pre-launch.
Now we roll with it.
You don't even like make a generic Jet Li who's not him.
I don't think there's anything that anybody invested in this idea, like anything they could do to turn off the people invested in this idea.
It's true.
I mean, it depends on the person, right? Our strategy will be different for whoever it is. For example, let's say something terrible.
Let's not say. How about we not say and say we did?
Look, you could just change the name of the character on the character select.
Oh my god.
No one can stop you.
All right, that was a very Nietzschean experience. Bob, video games.
What's up?
All right, I've got kind of a complex inquiry here. I want you to follow along with me. You have stated that you're basically replacing the main character of several IPs with characters from Beyond Good and Evil.
Yes, of course.
Several of these properties have audiences that have probably never heard of Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah,
So,
most of them, right?
What my real question is, I'd like you to try and convince me that the financials line up, that sales from these rechurned games are going to be able to cover the legal fees from what you have actively admitted to be stealing assets, code, and IPs to properties you have already sold for money.
Well, you see, the way this works in the spreadsheets is it's canceled out by how much we sold these IPs for. These are really powerful, important IPs. People are paying a lot for them. So we're just working against whatever profit we have from that.
All right, so you're confident that the upfront cash surplus is going to be able to cover the years of legal battles and inflation.
Right. I mean, the upfront cash plus the fact we're closing most studios is going to be like maybe 1,000 people left employed in total.
And all the dev time on these games no one's going to buy. I, for one, look forward to our glorious 10-cent future.
A quick follow-up question. Did it ever occur to you that you could have just put The Prince in everything and it would go better?
It did.
You could even just make a discernible title out of that. The Prince of Far Cry, Tom Clancy's The Prince.
The problem was...
That's not
Oh my
true
God.
strength.
I'm not going to lie. I would play the Prince of Far Cry.
Right!
Yeah,
The
sadly.
problem is we spent too much money on this one Beyond Good and Evil 2 game, and we lost everything else in the weeds.
Yeah, okay.
It was just too expensive to change that to a Prince of Persia game, but we can change everything else.
Everything else, dude.
You don't understand how much random assets we've been making for Beyond Good and Evil for the last 20 years.
One more question. Does Joseph Gordon-Levitt show up in any of these?
Of course. I mean, he's the one getting us all these assets.
Illegally, you might add.
I thought your existing servers were the ones getting you all these assets.
I mean, those two. But he gets the other ones we also don't pay for.
No, see, that's the thing. They sold off the servers as part of recouping the cost, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt stole them back from whoever bought them.
Yeah, you seen the movie where he's the bicycle runner? He did that.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, we need you for one last heist.
Okay, but I'm going to say something that gets me canceled before you ship your game.
You always do, man.
No further questions.
Why did we we stop doing this show for 2 years?
Well, that was all very enlightening. In some ways, perhaps too enlightening. Now, I must ask each contestant for their final pitch. The one thing they haven't gotten out yet that they know will move the needle, will swing this contest in their favor. And for once, we're not starting with aggro. Bob, what is your final pitch?
Well, because they're all Beyond Good and Evil games now, you always have a camera with you. It makes great photo ops. We can add in all sorts of stuff in there for like social communication. That still works, right? Oh, that still is up.
No.
Oh,
It's all broken. I'm sorry.
I don't know then.
Dan Video Games.
So we have a thing. It's a radical thing. You may think you know what this is, but you do not. Far Cry The Expendables comes with a thing called the second screen experience.
Ooh.
The second screen will play 80s movies on it for you, so you can watch the great movies they were in while you're playing the game and hopefully rolling that gacha.
There might be something there.
There's
That's a little based. I'm kind of into it.
There's a lot of money here. We're just letting it lie on the table.
You know, Ubisoft, it would be a shockingly self-aware move for Ubisoft to release an app that's just like, here's the movies we think you should watch while you're half paying attention to our game.
Right? Yeah.
Far Cry 6, that sounds like you need to watch the entire first 2 seasons of House.
It's like peanut butter jelly. Just imagine somehow the jelly had no flavor. And the peanut butter had both flavors in it.
What is this, calorie free?
Walnut Farms peanut butter jelly sandwich.
No. Dr. Aggro.
Like I said before, the old ways aren't going to cut it. Getting people interested in buying a product the normal ways aren't going to cut it. We get James Cameron signed onto the project. We give him basically pre-production busy work for about 6 months until he lets his guard down. Then we have him murdered. We use the tragedy of his death to sell not only this game and the ridiculous peripheral he helped design, but we open the James Cameron's Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Pandora Rising Memorial Museum ARG experience. An entire indoor theme park on the bed of a giant road illegal semi-truck that tours the country.
Good Lord.
We're going to make Jurassic Park 1 money.
I notice a lot of our pitches are predicated on someone's death.
Yes!
It's a tough industry nowadays. With all of that finished, I must now go to my own sensory cradle, different from the surely copywritten and trademarked full sensory body sleeve that Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Pandora by James Cameron will come with. To contemplate on who won and to cook up some feedback for our contestants. Dan Video Games.
Yes.
I really think Far Cry Expendables has a lot of potential. It's the sort of thing that Ed Boon should really just give up and make Mortal Kombat at this point instead of pretending it's its own IP.
That's true.
I think there might be some ethical issues with Bruce Willis being involved, but
You're wrong.
That's never stopped Ubisoft before.
You weren't at that
Oh,
lunch.
I'm wrong? Okay, good to know. Good to know.
He assured me over that sandwich there were no ethical issues.
I think Danny Trejo is a great choice for the antagonist, and it being first person kind of makes you lose a lot of the appeal as playing as the epic characters, but we won't have to model them as much, which is important.
Yeah.
So I think it's a worthwhile trade-off, but at the same time, I'm just not sure if any amount of money this game could make would be enough.
Ubisoft.
Like, I'm not sure your plan that is, if it goes as well as possible, will produce 15 Genshin impacts. I'm not sure if that's enough. Dr. Aggro.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even if Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Pandora by James Cameron doesn't hit at the level we need it to, I think there's a lot of potential with the technology driven that we created with the help of James Cameron, God rest his soul. And I think even in the worst case scenario, the credibility we'd have from whatever giant big rig drives around the country telling everyone about the legacy of James Cameron, and especially the legacy of how at the end of his life he worked on this game. Please buy this game. James Cameron.
I'm just imagining the giant animatronic James Cameron.
I think that's all really strong and is very future oriented. However, I'm not sure if Ubisoft has enough of a future to take advantage of that all on its own. Bob Video Games.
Yeah.
Your idea is unbelievably folly, a legal nightmare. I'm not sure that re-releasing all of the games that didn't make us money, but with different main character and different textures, will somehow make us money. But somehow, despite all of that, I feel like it has a chance. There may be a chance.
So you don't think the fact each of these titles sounds like you're having a stroke is a problem?
He said he didn't have a problem. He said he had a chance.
The winner of this episode of Armchair Devs Kiwami is... Wait, I'm getting a phone call.
Oh, no.
What? In the middle of this?
It seems like Yves Guillemot had some sort of standoff with the police.
Oh, no.
It went very poorly. Ubisoft is being dissolved by the French government and being sectioned off and given to Hong Kong.
Man.
I am sad to announce that we will not be producing any of these pitches. I'm very sorry for our contestants. They were fantastic pitches. Also, unfortunately, due to the contracts you signed before participating, you can never reuse any of these ideas ever. They're ours for all eternity.
God, I can't believe you own Bruce Willis now. This sucks.
I'll never avenge Battle Angel Alita.
I can't believe now Chris has to kill James Cameron.
I'm sorry, Big Jim. I have to fulfill this idea to the maximum potential. I think my employment contract is now with the Hong Kong government. Thank you to our contestants for participating, and thank you for listening to Armchair Devs Kiwami.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Armchair Devs. Podcasts like this and Big Think Dimension are only possible with viewer support. If you'd like to help us in the fight for good content, please show us your support over on patreon.com/gbpodcasts, where you can also listen to the extended pitches that couldn't make it into this episode. The executive producers for this Gigboots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.